Hello, hello, and welcome back to Space Engineers on the Xbox, on the Series X, with the next part of the 2024 Guide to Survival. And last time we set our infrastructure up on the base. We've got our manufacturing here, we've got our storage box, we've now got our survival kit and our generator to power said survival kit. We've got our hydrogen bottle inside there, and I've gone ahead off camera and just added the last couple of missing turbines to save some time. And this is now where we are. So what's next? Well, this is just sitting here doing nothing now. And, well, it's got a few parts on it that we can take off. But most importantly, I wanted to talk about the battery. Now, batteries are something in Space Engineers that if you grind down, you're going to find you can't rebuild them because they break. The power cells specifically break. So if you grind a battery down or one gets damaged, the only way is to basically make a new battery. You'll see there is scrap metal. So when you put that in, that'll get taken away by the refinery and reconverted. And there you are. The remnants of the pod. Not much left to do, but to just get your grinder and start reclaiming some of these metal plates. And grinding all down. It's going to take a while to do, but in the long run, I prefer to grind all of this down. I'm not one for repurposing the pod. I used to, but to be fair, I tend to prefer to build my own little vehicle. We'll just get it started, and over time what I'll do off camera, again, since this can be considered a little bit boring unless you really like watching someone grind down block after block, we'll just leave it like that for now. So, what's next? Well, we need to do a couple of things. We need to talk about your production system, and thinking about it, we can probably upgrade our hand drill. And to do that, we go into our production tab with the right trigger when accessing our cargo container or one of the conveyor ports, and we move along until we're at equipment and tools. Now, in equipment, we'll be able to make a bunch, and we'll need these when we go looking for or a few hydrogen bottles to give us more extended flight time while we're on a prospecting trip. But what we want here is tools, and you'll see that this one requires cobalt, but this one doesn't. So you can actually upgrade your hand drill to the enhanced. There we go. So we'll go back to our inventory. We'll take our old drill and pop that in storage. Then we'll expand this by clicking in the right stick. We'll go to our assembler, and we'll pick up our new hand drill. And our new hand drill is a different colour and has a slightly more powerful ore detector and has a more powerful drill. More efficient in general. So we have a new drill. When we find cobalt, we'll be able to get upgraded version of all our tools, possibly even to rank 2. Next thing, let's go back and talk about production again. Let's look at actually, let's go back to the inventory first. Let's look at our right hand side inventory, and you'll see our basic assembler is full of parts, but also gravel. And gravel is great for reactors, as I said last time, but not so grand if you're doing nothing with it. If you have Galax Synthetic Materials, the mod, on there, and if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to the video on the Galax mod in the description of this one. It allows you to get a bit of a head start in Space Engineers by converting using this refinery and so on, assembler, into materials that you can find useful, like small amounts of cobalt, uranium, all the end game materials in small amounts, not massive amounts, so it won't overbalance the game. But if you're sort of coming back to Space Engineers, or you just don't want to deal with finding the resources like cobalt out in the wild, could be anywhere, especially in an area like this, this is not so great for ore prospecting. It's a bit tricky to spot when I go through how to find ore, exactly what you're looking for in this zone. So we'll go looking for that at some point. But for now, what do we do about the gravel? Well, we could separate the gravel out. And this is one of my sort of favourite blocks in the game. It's extremely useful. You can install one of these on a dedicated miner and so on. So what we're going to do first is we're going to build a cargo storage container, because we can build a new cargo storage container. We have all the parts, since we have excess parts from the ship over there, the pod, and some parts that we made originally, and the metal grids that we got from the thruster that was on that pod will allow us to build another storage container. So if we get one of those going, oops, let's take all the things off, and we'll go to a small cargo container, and we'll just drop that on the build planner for now, and then we're just going to pull out everything we need to make one. And then we're just going to find it again, pop down the thing, make sure that turn that off, and that. I was experimenting with something earlier. So here we go. And we'll just weld up that cargo container. Until it's nice and done. And now a small cargo container 2 is empty. It's not connected to anything, but it will be in a moment. What we're going to do with it is we're going to rename it. We're just going to take off that, and we're going to make it into a dedicated gravel storage for now, because if I want to put Galax Synthetic Materials on, it wouldn't be You know, I would rather have a box full of gravel. And also, if I wanted to make a reactor later, it's nice having some boxes of gravel so we don't have to mine stone or so on. But what we want to do is we want to pull the gravel out of our system anyway, because we don't want it clogging up our production. We don't want it sitting in our various inventories doing nothing. So if we put it over here, at least we know where it is. How do we do that? Well, we could put a conveyor tube between these two and then manually move it across each time we wanted to, and that would get a little bit, I won't say boring, tedious is a good word. So to get rid of the tedium, well, open up the build menu, and we want conveyors. And remember that we broke down that conveyor and rebuilt it, and it gave us a load of new blocks. On one of those blocks is the conveyor sorter. So let's just add that to the build planner, and we should have parts enough to make it from the various things. If not, we can always put parts into production. There we go. So RB, inventory button, pulls everything we need to make one of these beauties, and then we'll just find it in our list. If it's not there, go across. That's a conveyor junction, so we push up on the D-pad until we get to this, and we want the arrow facing our cargo container, and then we'll just build this. And I say the purpose of this series is to go through on some short videos just to get you started. I'm not looking for something in depth. I do have one I'm still continuing, which I really need to go back to so we can finally get into space and have a look around using my really, really rubbish one-shot, well, I won't say one-shot, my simple hydrogen-powered space vehicle, which is not pretty to look at, but does the job. There we go. So we have a conveyor sorter. So we'll go into the conveyor sorter, and we'll move into this menu. And what we want to do is we want to look at our whitelist. And we want a whitelist. Move down until we find gravel, and when we press A on gravel, we use the left stick, push down until we reach add, press A on add, and we will add gravel. Now we've got that, we come back to our conveyor sorter, and we tell it to drain all. And what that will do is it will pull all the gravel in the system over there into this box. Or it should do. It probably just pulls it from the cargo box, but we can play around with that. It's very useful if you want to pull components as well into storage when you've made something. Rather than having it sit in the basic assembler, you can have it sit in a cargo box. But now we've got no gravel in that container. The assembler's got some in. Our basic refinery has nothing. So let's just pull that there. And we'll just throw that gravel in here. And you'll see that the gravel will disappear. and it will reappear over here. Now the thing is with these, they're a one-way trip, so you can't pull stuff using a conveyor sorter back into a box. So I couldn't take, say, the gravel from over here and put it there because it can't get past the machinery that's going on inside that conveyor sorter. Imagine there's a bunch of cogs and conveyor belts pulling things one way but not allowing you to pull them the other. So if you want to do that, you'd have to make a bunch of conveyor tubes to another box and so on, especially when you're making a ship. I go through that in my large grid shipbuilding tutorial and a bunch of others over time. So if you just go through my tutorials one by one, you'll eventually come across the various tips and tricks. But for now, that will let us move most of the gravel over here so we know where it is. That will fill up quick though as we process stone. And talking of stone, let's just take our new drill for a bit of a test run in our little mine over here before we start to just do the last little bit of what I want to do on this video. You'll see that this drill is far more efficient than the old drill. We're getting small amounts of stone because what we're doing is we're digging back up there, but we're still getting a decent chunk of stone that we can just pick up, take away, and pop in our system. $3.1k of stone. Put that in. There's our basic refinery, and there's our conveyor sorter working, pulling things through to our small cargo box. Excellent. And we probably at this point want to make let's see, we've got one already, 3 more, that will give us 4. Obviously the more we carry, the more we can go looking for our ore. I'll just go across here, and these are empty, so let's turn my torch off. We want to fill them, but that will start depleting our ice. And my advice, as I always say, turn off auto save and give yourself manual saves by holding down the right left bumper, tapping X and quick saving, because you can end up in some trouble, specifically if you end up crashing a ship and then it auto saves and you can't get your backups. So let's go and have a quick nose out there, hit the jetpack and just take a flight in this direction. There is a way to spot ore, but if you look around here, this is not the greatest landscape to look for it. And using the jetpack will deplete your reserves quite quickly, which is why we have a bunch of bottles. You'll see that my first bar is already going into the red, and we've only gone a short distance But I wanted to get over here and take a quick nose at the landscape. So we're just going to walk from this point on. Let's have a look around. Have your drill out. And just move along the ground, because you never know what you're going to find as you head out and about on your little sojourn. And we've got the respawn pod GPS at the moment, so we know where our headquarters is. And we're going to start having a look around this area here. And what I tend to do is I tend to hit the jetpack and pull back on the stick when facing the ground. And eventually you'll sort of start spotting patches of ground. And so like I said, with this one, it's a bit annoying where we are to try and spot the variances, but there are patches of ground that you can see from the air. But in this zone, it's not as easy. I will be doing a dedicated video on how to track down ore patches, but it really has spawned us into an annoying area for trying to find them. So you want to go, here we go. We found some gold. So our ore detector has pinged some gold. That could be useful. So now we've found gold at 31 meters below the ground. If we open our inventory, tap left on the D-pad, we have a GPS marker system. So we just do new from current position, and we rename it either to gold 1, or you could use the AU for Aurus. From the periodic table. And there we are. We have gold 1 just there. Not easy to see though, but we've got gold. So where we move around here, we may have more gold. Again though, this ground is not the greatest to spot the variances in the textures that usually lead to ore. When you're in grass, it can be easier. But go low, go slow, and just take your time. Remembering that you do have limited resources, and you're going to want at least a couple of bottles of the good stuff to get you back. In the normally the patches of ore can show up like this, but as I will keep on banging on about it, they are tricky to find in regions like this one. The game has a great habit of sticking them under patches of ground like this. Can be one of the more frustrating elements of Space Engineers. And if you don't find what you're looking for in one direction, don't continue going aimlessly for kilometre after kilometre in that direction. Just have a look in general. If you can find something, all well and good. If not, then return to base can see we're quite a distance. But the good news is that we are capable of getting back. And if something catches your interest and you feel like you want to explore it, let's have a quick look. Keep an eye on your resources. Never know what you'll find. Try not to go too fast, low to the ground, because you can kill yourself quite easily in this game with the jetpack. And how I'm doing this, by the way, is that I'm using A and B to move backwards and forwards when pointing down at the ground, so I've got a better control over what I can see. But it has really spawned us in an area that I would consider only a temporary base. I'd look for somewhere else. You can move an entire platform just by building another platform and slowly dismantling the parts in your inventory, flying over, putting them back up. And as you can see where we are here, where we've landed, we are in a bit of a position for finding things. Let's just get the power back. Refill that bottle. Let's have a look at our bottles in general. So, not bad. Only that bottle needs refilling, so we're good. Let's quick save again. And also, while we're here, we're just going to pop down proper GPS so we know exactly where we are, and we're going to make that one always visible so we can always see it. No matter where we are, we know where to come back to. So just before I end this video, we're just going to scoot out again, and there you go. That's a good example of what happens if you go too fast with your jetpack. You'll hurt yourself. If that happens, you can either carry on, or you can just scoot back here, go to your survival kit, and just heal up. So, yeah, be careful. That was me turning the jetpack off just to show what happens if you do get injured. It's one of the things that I hadn't covered. So now you know that your survival kit is the be-all and end-all, and it's why we wanted to get that up and running as soon as possible. As long as you keep your fingers or your thumbs away from the Y button, you'll be fine. And while we're here, we can have a nose around. These patches are sometimes good for ore. If there's ore like cobalt, though, you won't detect it with the hand drill unless you're very lucky. If it's spawned in a specific place, because it can spawn deeper underground. I think it's about 50 meters or something like that. This is a great place, though, while we're here, just to replenish our stocks. Just do it about here. Kneel down. Pull our drill. I'm just going to scoot around on the surface with the drill and drill a bit of a hole. And this will quickly fill up since we're carrying all those bottles. There we go, our inventory's full, but at least now we know exactly where we are. We've got our gold there. And our headquarters is here. We just have another quick scout around. Since we've got plenty of flight time on our bottles. And just come down over any patches that you think look interesting. I will have a dedicated how to find ore video up because, as I said, this region is a nightmare for looking for it because the variances in the patches don't show up as well. But at least we've got some ice. Which we can dump off in here, replenish our stocks. And we've still got a decent chunk of our flight time left. But that'll do for this one. That's brought us up to just over half an hour. I don't want this to go on too long. So that's your next part of my getting started in Space Engineers in 2024. Off camera, what I'll do is I'll rip that last remaining part of the pod apart and store the resources. And then next time, we'll look at actually building something to get us more stone quickly. And it'll be a variant of my drill rig, which we're going to use a few blocks from the updates and so on. But I'll leave you to wait for that one until next time. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the likes, the subscribes. Please keep it coming. It does help me more than, I don't tend to ask for likes and subscribes. I just let people do what they want. I just create the content. I'm not a professional YouTuber by any way, shape or means. This is, in a way, a hobby, but I enjoy it and it keeps me going. Until then, though, one more thing. There is an update coming. It's an interesting update. It's in May. There have been some sneak peeks from various PC channels, and it should allow for some really interesting builds. I will be doing tutorials as per usual on the content as much as I can for the Xbox as I work it out. Until then, though, stay safe, take care, have fun, enjoy the game, keep on engineering, and I will definitely catch you in the next one. Bye for now.